take a peek at what we can do with Microsoft Teams. Okay, here we are at office.com, and again, if you've joined me for any of my previous Office 365 webinars, you know that this is really the starting point for a lot of the functions and features within Office 365. You can see here the apps that we have available to us, and I'm going to go ahead and select Teams, and the Teams web application is going to open here in a new tab, and in this particular scenario, I am using the Chrome browser. So when Teams loads up, quite typically it will leave off, it will start where you left off. In this case I was viewing files, but I do want to take you through all of these functional areas here, and let's go ahead at the top and start with the activity feed. Now this is a feed of anything that's happened within Teams in a few different areas since the last time you visited the web app or used the desktop app or mobile app. So in this case here we can see that Jeff sent us a mention and mentioned us in a different chat channel as well. So as your team either uses @mentions and directly sends you something or chats with you, again you can see the different areas light up to grab your attention. This is something that I personally like to see. Again, when you start the day, you can see what you've missed. You don't have to scroll endlessly through all of the varieties of channels here within Teams. And I believe that this is really what sets Teams apart from Slack. If you've ever used that tool, you probably know that there's a lot of scrolling through channels and conversations to keep caught up. In the feed here, we do have the availability to filter. We can see things that perhaps we have posted and what others have replied to. And as well, we can filter by unread messages, mentions and replies, items that we like, perhaps calls that we've missed or voicemails that people have left for us through our unified communications tools. And we can also see what's trending within our Teams tenant on Office 365. Next up is the chat area. Again, this is going to feel really familiar if you and your team has been using Skype for Business or other instant messaging applications on your PC or on mobile. Let's just jump over there. You can see we have a message waiting for us already. Jeff Hay, our CIO, has sent us a message asking how the weekend was. We can reply back really quickly. And I mean all the typical features that you would expect here for either inter-office communication or collaboration with external guest users as well. If you want to have, they can be using Teams or they can be using Skype here. You can see the users that are using Skype rather than the Teams client. Some really powerful features here going on underneath the hood. You do have the availability of sharing files with these users in an instant message. Any files that you share in this chat will stay here and be available for you and the other user to use at any time. Because this is an internal chat between two users in the same company, you can see the organizational hierarchy here and see who reports to who. And there is another sort of mini activity feed here available between you and, in this case, Jeff. You can see everything that you are working on together. You can see where Jeff has mentioned Dan fixing the air condition, those types of things. So again, not just instant messaging back and forth, but file sharing, your organizational hierarchy, and an activity feed as well. One really cool tool you do have available to us here is to add a tab to this chat. So if you and Jeff are going to be working on the same Excel very frequently over the next little while, you can certainly add that. You can have your own OneNote between you and another user. You can share a website as well. This is the add-on sort of ecosystem that I had been mentioning, where you can add a lot of third-party tools to Teams as well to extend the functionality. We'll be spending a lot more on that in a future Teams webinar. Again, today I just want to give you the high-level overview of the different functional areas. Now, the chat tool is quite rich here. We do have common features like changing the format of your text, adding files, emojis, animations, and stickers. While emojis and stickers and animations don't really concede to the business's bottom line, they do make for a more fun and personal chat and communication experience. It's certainly something that my generation is all about. We can schedule a meeting, and then we have more functions like adding praise, adding location information, Wikipedia articles, and if you wanted to share a YouTube video, that's all very, very simple here within the Teams chat functional area. Now, one other thing that's really cool, right now we're seeing a one-to-one chat, so between my demo user here and Jeff Hay. If you did want to add more people to this conversation, you can have a larger chat. So perhaps we want to bring in Alan as well and start talking about something that's relevant between Alan, Jeff, and my demo user. It's very easy to do so. And now we've made a new conversation, so you don't have to worry about Alan seeing any of the communication that was between you and Jeff, for example. So very easy to add conversations ad hoc. You can leave these conversations here because it is persistent chat. So if you walk away and come back, you're not going to lose anything. You're not going to have to start the conversation from scratch. You will have sort of a conversation history available to you. There are other functions here within the one-to-one or one-to-few sort of chat-based communication in Microsoft Teams. Those familiar with Skype for Business will know the Call Now button to make an audio call. If you have a headset or you use your microphone built into your laptop, you can communicate really quickly. If you do have your webcam available and turned on, you can have video chat as well. Very, very similar to Skype for Business, and so important to business communication nowadays that we'll spend more time on future sessions just on video and audio calling within Microsoft Teams. So let's jump over now to the Teams functional area. Here you can see within my demo that we do have a few pre-populated teams. We see here down the left-hand side, the ones that are bold just show us where different information is new since we've last viewed the channels. Now, important terminology to note here, a team is sort of a high-level group of channels, and these channels are individual sort of subject areas within a team. So for example, we have a marketing team created. The marketing team has users added to it, and we see that there are general awards, campaigns, events, and product related discussions within our marketing team, and those are considered channels. Each channel has its own chat and files area as well. You can add apps to any of these team channels as well by clicking the plus, and you can see sort of the first party Office 365 solutions. You can bring in a planner, you can bring in a OneNote or a form that's relevant to this channel, or you can bring in all of these third-party solutions if there's other dev or test or communication tools that you're using. This sort of add-on ecosystem is only growing month to month, so if your particular solution is not listed in here just yet, hang tight, as I know a lot of developers are working with Microsoft to get their apps listed in the Microsoft Teams space. And as you use the chat-based features within Microsoft Teams and within the individual teams that you create, you'll see a lot of features around liking messages. You can save the message, sort of pin it for later review. You can mark as unread or copy a link to it to share with other members in your team, and you can mark things as important. So here we're within our sales operations team within the Fabricam account channel. We can see that Karen has noted, please review. There's a PO in particular that needs to be looked at. So again, something that could have been sent as an email, but here posted on Teams, we know that everyone within this team is going to get an alert, either a pop-up on their desktop or phone, that something needs to be reviewed really quickly. Let's jump down to the HR team now and to a channel labeled Common Forms. As I know this will apply to almost any business in operation, HR and management does typically have forms, and rather than saving those in a drive on a server in the closet, you can add those common files to the Files tab here within Microsoft Teams. And again, anyone with access to this team will have the rights to go in and take a look at this doc for expense reporting, for example. And while we're here on the Files tab in a Microsoft team, a lot of power under the hood here. Microsoft Teams is actually sitting on top of SharePoint Online. So while all of your information and individual files are stored in a SharePoint, without knowing, really you wouldn't know, you can go ahead and open these files in SharePoint, or you can add other cloud-based storage like Dropbox and Box, Google Drive, for example, if you are using some of these services or paying for other services externally. From this spot as well, you can upload documents. So if you have a PDF on your desktop that you want to include in Common Forms, that would be the way to do so. And as well, by clicking the new icon, we can add folders to keep our team files organized, or even right from this point, we can create a Word, Excel, or PowerPoint document as well. And this is great if you need to just really get something into Teams really quickly without opening full-blown Word, Excel, PowerPoint on your desktop. You can go ahead in here and use the Word Online, Excel Online, PowerPoint Online clients, which are actually have come a long way in the last couple of years as far as fit and finish and functional parity with the grown-up desktop applications, if you will. So again, if you do need to put together a quick document or make a quick change of an existing document, the online versions of the Office applications are really capable. So here we are back in the HR Common Forms team, and the quick changes that I made to demo.docx have been saved and are now available generally for everybody here that's a member of this team. Now, you've heard me mention team membership a few times. Let's go ahead and create a team just so you can see how easy it is to get the ball rolling and add users to a particular team. Again, a team could be an ad hoc project. Maybe you're releasing a new product or starting a new build. Or teams can be organized around sort of functional areas like marketing or sales or HR, for example, within your business. So down at the bottom left here, there is a join or create a team button. Clicking on that, we can click on the create a team button. We can build a team from scratch, or we can create a team from an existing Office 365 group. So for those of us out there who are Office 365 admins and are responsible for creating groups and distribution lists and so forth, you'll know the terminology around Office 365 groups. So if you want to save some time adding users, you can pick from an existing Office 365 group and build a team from there. But for the purpose of this demo, we'll just build a team from scratch. You do have the choice to keep the group private, and then only people that you add manually or an administrator adds will be able to see that in their Teams application. Or if you want anyone in your organization to join, you can make a public group. And so here, for the purpose of the demo, we'll go ahead and make a social club group. Perhaps we're going to organize the next staff lunch, and we want to use our digital transformation tools to get things going. So here, just by typing the first few letters of our colleagues' names, we're able to bring up a few and add them really quickly. Click the add button. So now we've got 4 other members besides us in this team. And at this point, we can make these other folks owners or just members. Again, owners are sort of like your administrator. They can add and remove people. They can delete content, and they can actually delete the team and channels as well as needed. So here we are now in the social club in the general channel. Very quiet because we haven't added any more content. But as you go, Microsoft's done really well as far as interface here to sort of prompt you along if you do need to add more users, if you do need to create subchannels, or open the frequently asked questions about Microsoft Teams. And another phrase that I've been using quite a lot here in talking about Microsoft Teams is the idea of a chat-based or a chat-centered collaboration hub. Now, as this team gets rolling, perhaps someone on the social team will want to upload some pictures or maybe a menu from a restaurant that they have saved to their computer. That's all relevant. That message will go to anyone that's part of the team, so us and the other few members that we just joined a few minutes ago. And then the collaboration really happens around the chat and sharing ideas around that document. Now, if you do want to break into a really quick meeting with anyone on this team, it is as easy as clicking the Meet Now button. It's a little camera down here at the bottom of your screen, and the whole team will get called sort of at an instant, and you can have an ad hoc brainstorming session if you needed to. Now for pre-scheduled meetings, let's head over to the meetings area in Microsoft Teams. And you can see that my demo user here has a pretty open day, which is really good for him. Let's jump over to tomorrow though, and you can see that he's got a pre-scheduled meeting with Karen Berg. And this is here. We can take a look at the details. It's already been accepted, and we can see the subject line. This information can come from Exchange and Outlook, very typical, creating a meeting and adding recipients and adding a team link from either Outlook on the web or your Outlook desktop client, or you can actually schedule meetings here within the Microsoft Teams application. You could have meetings as well as live events if you're looking to broadcast your webcam to tens or hundreds of people. You can decide to meet in a channel, which would be like the scheduled concept of what we just talked about with just a social club meeting. And you can set your location, invitees, start and end date, as well as your time zone. And then there's a rich text editor here to add any meeting details. So again, this is a really neat overlap between something you would see in your calendar in Outlook or Outlook on the web, and sort of the functionality around scheduling meetings, and in particular if you're adding dialing in capabilities, that is all set here in the meetings area of Microsoft Teams. And I hope as we're moving along here through Microsoft Teams, and again this is meant to be a very high level overview, but I do hope that the wheels in your mind are turning on new ways to use this tool and application to work together with your teammates. Last but not least here, let's take a look at files. And this is going to show a few different things. This will show your recent documents that you may have interacted with in Microsoft Teams, as well as show you all of the documents sort of throughout your Microsoft Teams tenant. So you can see here in this demo tenant of Office 365, we've got a lot of files that have been worked on in the not too distant past. And as well, we do have a quick link here into our OneDrive. So again, you don't need to go out to the OneDrive app. You don't need to go out into SharePoint individually. You can surface all of the Office content that you generate on a day-to-day basis here within the Teams application. And important to note too that we are using the web app, but if you use the desktop application, it looks and feels very, very similar, if not the same. And the mobile client will give you all of the functionality that we've discussed so far on your phone. One more area here is the More Apps. It's hidden under the More Commands button here. Just to reiterate that this is a huge ecosystem that is only growing with third-party developers like Adobe, like GitHub, Jira. There's a lot of tools here, not only around test and dev, but there's a lot of tools around finance, sales, HR, education, and lots of fun tools that you can use around your group as well. One really cool functionality of Teams is the notion of these chatbots, where you can add AI-based users really to the chat area of your Microsoft Teams app, and you can ask your calendar for your next appointment. You can in fact integrate your Dynamics 365 CRM and search for contacts, phone numbers, again, all within the Teams application without having to go sort of whack-a-mole in and out, in and out, in and out of different line of business applications throughout the day. And as I mentioned, we'll be doing future webinar Wednesdays focused a lot more on some of these add-ons. Certainly of interest with me personally is the Dynamics 365 app. And while it is in preview, I do use it actually every day. I do have the bot enabled in my Microsoft Teams, so I am able to search for contacts, phone numbers, opportunities, and leads that I'm working on within our Dynamics 365 for Sales interface. Last note here, if you are using the web version of Microsoft Teams and you want to get the Windows 10 app, there's a Get App button here, and that downloads the 64-bit exe to install on your Windows 10 machine. You may need administrative access to install that, but once you install it, you are pretty well good to go, and the Microsoft Teams app will greet you the next time you log into your Windows machine. Okay, just a quick tour around the mobile application here for Teams. I'm on an Android phone here just to demonstrate, and here's my team application here. We can see, again, at the bottom of the app, those different functional areas that we went through on the web client. We have our activity feed, we have our chat area, we have the different teams that we've joined, we have our meetings upcoming and into the future that we can join from this application, and then we have the calls button. So this is really cool because it is a cell phone, because it's a mobile phone. If we don't want to use a traditional phone line, or we don't want to use our cell minutes, we can use a data only sort of voice over IP call, and we can make that to any of our colleagues here within our Office 365 tenant. So again, voice over IP or voice over internet to make calls and video chats, because we do have a camera on our phone as well. And because it's a mobile phone, chances are you take your phone home with you at the end of the day. Microsoft's built in some great settings here around notifications and quiet hours. So if you don't want to see anything from work pop up when you're with family or at home or on the weekend, you can certainly set that up. As well, Microsoft's built Shifts, which really is a continuation of Staff Hub, something we'll focus on in future webinars around shift scheduling, sick time, trading shifts with colleagues, more centered around first line workers, but you can kind of get an idea here that Microsoft is really opening up this application to any employee within your organization. All right, so let's do a quick wrap up of everything we covered today here on Webinar Wednesday. Don't fear the Skype for Business to Teams transition. There's a lot more value to Teams, again, being the hub for your teamwork and digital collaboration and productivity. Skype for Business was great in the day for instant messaging and video and voice chat, but Teams is taking that to the next level. Unified communication features make contacting users easy, so we've seen during today's webinar how easy it is to have an ad hoc sort of voice chat, and the reality is our users aren't sitting in the same building as each other today, so reaching remote users or people on the go is really simple. Teams is a great tool for surfacing assets that your team creates around Office 365. So as more and more people use the service and create documents with the web versions of Office 365, those will surface into Teams, and you'll be able to see what each other's working on as far as documents in Office 365. Teams is customizable. You can make it what you need. There's certainly no wrong way of using Teams. We see a lot of clients using Teams to have fun, but we also see a lot of clients using Teams to digitally transform the way they do things, maybe taking traditional paper and pen processes and turning them into team-based and chat-based experiences on the web and on the go. And don't forget the growing add-on ecosystem in Microsoft Teams, and that's leading to some really rich experience as far as bringing information from other line of business applications or other software as a service tools and marketing tools. And you are able to bring that information into Teams and either review things together, comment on them together, or work on them together.